The snowflakes danced past the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Sterling Tower as Marcus Donovan sat alone in his corner office on Christmas Eve. At 42, he had everything money could buy, yet the silence in his penthouse felt heavier with each passing year. His assistant had left hours ago, but a single envelope remained on his mahogany desk. It had arrived that morning, mixed in with the corporate mail. Marcus picked it up, noting the crayon drawing on the front, a stick figure family holding hands. Inside, the childish handwriting made his chest tighten. "Dear Santa, please send me a dad. My name is Sophie, and I am 7 years old. Mommy works very hard at 2 jobs, and she is always tired. I try to be good and help her, but she cries sometimes when she thinks I am sleeping. I do not want toys this year. I just want someone to help us. Someone who can make mommy smile again, and maybe read me bedtime stories. Love, Sophie." Marcus read it 3 times. His hands trembled slightly as he studied the drawing, a little girl with pigtails standing next to a woman, and an empty space where a father should be. For the first time in years, something cracked inside the armor he had built around his heart. He thought of his own father, gone 20 years now. The man who taught him that success meant nothing without someone to share it with. Marcus had spent 2 decades proving he could build an empire, but somewhere along the way, he had forgotten why. The letter included a return address, an apartment building Marcus recognized from his company's community outreach reports. It was in the neighborhood where his company had just funded a new community center. Without overthinking it, Marcus grabbed his coat. The apartment building stood in stark contrast to his gleaming tower. The elevator groaned as it climbed to the 3rd floor. Marcus found apartment 3B and knocked, suddenly aware he had no plan. A young woman opened the door, her eyes widening at the sight of a man in an expensive suit. She looked exhausted, her hair pulled back, wearing scrubs from a double shift. "Can I help you?" she asked cautiously. "My name is Marcus Donovan. I received this today." He held up the letter, watching her face transform from confusion to mortification. "Oh, my God," she whispered, her hand covering her mouth. "Sophie, she must have. I am so sorry, Mr. Donovan. She took one of my work envelopes. I had no idea she sent that. Please, I never meant for anyone to. May I come in?" Marcus asked gently. Just for a moment, Emma hesitated, then stepped aside. The apartment was tiny but immaculate. A small Christmas tree sat in the corner, decorated with homemade ornaments. Through the doorway, he could see Sophie asleep on the couch, a library book about families clutched to her chest. "She wrote to Santa at school," Emma explained quietly, her voice breaking. "Her teacher collected the letters to mail them. Sophie must have switched envelopes when I was not looking. This is so embarrassing." "Do not be embarrassed," Marcus said. "Your daughter's letter reminded me of something important I had forgotten." Emma looked at him questioningly. "My father used to say that the greatest wealth is knowing you matter to someone. I have spent 20 years building a company, and I have never felt more alone than I do tonight." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. She just wants what other kids have. A normal family. "I try so hard, but working 2 jobs just to afford this place. I barely see her. My mother helps when she can, but she has her own health problems." Marcus found himself sitting down. The stranger's pain somehow familiar. "Tell me about her," and Emma did. She spoke about Sophie's love for drawing, her kindness to other children, how she saved her lunch money to buy flowers when Emma had the flu. She talked about her own struggles, the husband who left when Sophie was 2, the nursing degree she was working toward at night, the constant fear of not being enough. When she finished, Marcus made a decision that would change 3 lives. "I want to help," he said. "Not charity, a real opportunity. My company needs someone to coordinate our new community wellness program. It would mean 1 good job instead of 2 exhausting ones. Regular hours, benefits, enough to give Sophie the stability she deserves." Emma stared at him. "Why would you do this?" "Because a very wise 7-year-old reminded me that success means nothing if you do not use it to make someone's life better." He paused. "And because I lost my own father at her age, I remember what it felt like to wish for someone to fill that empty space." Over the following weeks, Emma started her new position. Marcus found himself volunteering at the community center, where Sophie often came after school. He taught her chess, read her stories about entrepreneurs and dreamers, and listen to her endless questions about how things worked. Emma watched this unlikely friendship bloom with wonder. Marcus was patient with Sophie in ways Emma had never expected. He never tried to replace her father, but he showed up consistently, genuinely, as someone who cared. On Valentine's Day, Marcus invited them both to dinner, not at some fancy restaurant, but to his penthouse, where he had clumsily attempted to cook spaghetti. "It is a bit burned," he admitted sheepishly, as Sophie giggled. "That is okay," Sophie said seriously. "Mommy burns things too, when she is tired." Emma laughed for the first time in months, really laughed, and Marcus realized he would do anything to hear that sound again. "I need to tell you something," he said, after Sophie had fallen asleep on his couch, exhausted from exploring his apartment. "When I received that letter, thought I was going to help you, but you have both given me something I did not know I was missing. Purpose, joy, a reason to leave the office at 5 o'clock. Emma reached for his hand. "She asks about you constantly. When are we seeing Marcus? Can Marcus come to my school play? She drew you a birthday card, even though she does not know when your birthday is." "June 15th, Marcus said softly, "and I would love to come to her play." By summer, something beautiful had grown between them. Marcus had never experienced this before, not the whirlwind romance of his youth, but something deeper, a love built on shared meals and homework help, on Emma's strength and Sophie's laughter, on quiet evenings that felt like home. 1 year after that Christmas Eve, Marcus knelt down on one knee in that same tiny apartment, now filled with photos of the three of them together. "I came here looking for a way to answer a little girl's letter to Santa," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "But what I found was a family I'd not know I needed. Emma, will you marry me? Will you let me be the person who helps you, who makes you smile, who reads Sophie bedtime stories for the rest of my life?" Through her tears, Emma whispered yes. Sophie, watching from her bedroom doorway, ran into the room, shouting, "Santa is magic. He really is magic." Marcus swept her up in his arms, this child who had saved him with a simple letter. "No, sweetheart, the magic was not Santa, it was you. Believing that somewhere out there, someone was waiting to love you both. You were brave enough to ask for what you needed. That Christmas, in a house filled with laughter and love, Sophie wrote a new letter. Dear Santa, thank you for sending me the best dad in the whole world. You can give my other presents to kids who need them more. I have everything I want. Love, Sophie." Marcus kept both letters in his desk drawer, the one that broke his heart open, and the one that proved it had healed. Sometimes, the greatest gifts arrive wrapped in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes all it takes is one honest wish from a child's heart to remind us that we are all searching for the same thing: to matter, to be needed, to be loved. And sometimes, when we stop building walls and start opening doors, we find that the family we have been longing for has been waiting for us all along. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories of hope and unexpected kindness. Leave a comment telling us about a time when an unexpected connection changed your life. Your story might inspire someone who needs to hear it today.